so was the question inferring that it was outside the story so that he would not have been able to get it, the meaning from it, from the rest of the reading?
Yeah. It says, what can you infer happened to Josh? Because it says, Brian and his two friends, Josh and Dougie, tried to hypnotize Artful, which is the dog, by dangling a sparkly thing in front of his nose. Suddenly, Josh started acting strange, almost cat-like.
Okay.
So
does it ever tell you what happens to Josh later?
Yes.
So then it's really not inferring if you read it once already. It's more of a in text or a look back almost, because he got to read it already once. If he remembered anything, which who knows because of him.
I really wasn't too worried.
Yeah, I know. I guess it's just happy to get him to answer.
And I'm also I try to put in, if something's not right there, because he seems to think, which also came up, that an answer is always right there. So I'm just kind of using that vocabulary.
Sure.
So that he gets used to, using it. And
the language, kind of like that language. Yeah. All right, there's one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and then I'll let you look at the scaffolding examples I took from you. So at one point he's reading, and he says a word wrong. And it's the word's argue. And you want it for him to read it. So you go back and you say, what's this word? And he didn't know, so then you told him. Well, actually, no, you're like, we did this word. He's like, argue.
Yeah.
So why was that one important to you?
It was one of the words that I had pre-taught with him, and he absolutely knew what it meant. And the funny thing is that when he moved the words from onto this chart, he said arg. He could say argument, but I said, and what's the base word? And he said arg. And I go, are you sure it's arg? like a
pirate, arg.
And he goes, oh, argue. So, but it's funny, he still said that when he was reading it. I thought I found that interesting, actually.
Could you have maybe used context clues since he knew the word? Could you have used context clues maybe to have him figure out the answer? Or did you figure with him it was best just to jog his memory?
What do you mean the answer?
The argue. So that,
you mean how to say the word?
Yeah, how to say it. Because you definitely didn't give him the answer. You said, oh, come on, we've done this before. So you let him, and he remembered, and he said it. But do you think they're doing context clues? Would he have gotten the answer any better, or do you think it may have been frustrating to him?
You mean just to pronounce it? No, he probably would have.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he probably would.
But he picked it up right away. As soon as you said, we did this before.
As soon as I reminded him, that was what he needed.
It was exactly. It was like instant. He's like, argue. And then, he knew it. Okay, was there anything else that that you can reflect on about your QT during this experience?
The only thing is that we've been doing so much questioning and everything, and when he answered a question, it was incorrect, and I said, remember it was about how he's feeling? Oh, how did Artful feel about Brian's report? And he said happy. And I said, where does it say that? And he said, I don't know, it's in there. I said,
remember.
Well, show me where that is. So he's like, I don't know, I can't find it, but I think he was happy. I said, I said, what are you looking for? And he said, I don't see any words that say how he feels. So he was just scanning for a feeling word.
Yes.
And then I said to him, you can't always do that because not everything is a right there question.
And that was one of my notes too. I thought that was great to tell him, like, they're going to get harder.
Right.
You need to know this kind of stuff.
And I said the text that you're starting to read won't have all right there questions, and you won't be asked just right there questions. So that made me think about, maybe I've been trying to get to the different question types. So maybe that's what I'll cover tomorrow and the next day.
Okay.
Is, the different types of questions and how to answer them.
All right, well, real quick, the 2 scaffolding points, if you can read my handwriting, there was something like, you said, can you answer a question? And he said no. So then you said, well, what should a good reader do? And then he said, go back and reread. So that was scaffolding. You supported him. You reminded him.
And then I even said to him, all right, so maybe you should try.
Yeah, but then you did.
He knew, but he didn't.
Yeah. And then there was one other one where you had him explain why he should go back and reread, which again, you talked about like for the retelling and it makes it stronger. So that was another scaffolding that I thought you really supported him with. And again, just reiterates, like you said, what a good reader does.
Yeah.
So I thought it went well.
Okay, good. What is all this?
Oh, that was my notes. Don't worry about that. Yeah. My notes on something else, my scratch.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
No.
Right.
Just as long as I just... he is an older student. I'm used to working with younger kids, and I really haven't. I used to teach them a long time ago, this age, but I haven't in so long, and it's so much more in depth.
It totally is.
And their problems run so, like, to me it seems deeper. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm doing everything I can, and then I just expect him to do it. Like when I was gonna do the I had to totally revamp from yesterday because I went to do this chapter book and he's just reading it like, oh yeah, I'm reading the whole thing, and then he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
So backing up, and we put the sticky notes all throughout the book, and we did this, and he did well, and he did much better, but he still didn't do as well as I wanted him to.
Well, like you said about older students, I feel like when they're older, they've come up with strategies themselves that may not be the best, but they're working, they're dealing with them. They're at this point, they're young, they're not really coming up with anything, because to be honest with you, up until this point, they probably were reading out loud and quarterly, first and second grade. No one was ever asking them what this reason is, because someone already told them the answer.
Yeah.
So.
I know. Well, we just have to keep going.
Yep, keep going, doing what you do.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, ma'am.